Good evening, everybody. Julian Freeman again, and the lovely Becky Adams. Say hi, Becky.
Hi.
Cool. So we got part two now of our free will hangout, and fantastic place we got to on Monday. I thought, in fact, actually, Becky, you sent me into a spin for the rest of the week. Which has really been really helpful. So, because I've seen some stuff, and also I talked to some people and got some great feedback, which we're going to use in the course of tonight's hangout. So, but tell me your news. I think your news is really exciting. Go on, tell me your news.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of open. It's opened me up to a few things. I think the conversation and something interesting happened for me this week, which was that for a while now I've had this sort of picture in my head of me doing some work. I teach exercise. That's one of the things that I do, and me teaching exercise to a group of young people, kind of, I guess, disadvantaged youth is the terminology that might be used. But it was specifically young people that I just had this picture in my head of being in a room with a load of young people, and it being utter chaos with music pumping and me teaching exercise and kind of helping them. And this is just something that it just been a picture in my head, and then I had sort of off the back of that said, I'd like to do that. That's something I'd really like to do. So I'd sort of written off to a few charities and sort of said, I'd like to do this work for you, and nothing had come from it. But then, interestingly, this week I got a phone call from the council, not from any of the kind of action that I'd taken towards getting to this place, and I'd forgotten about it as well. I wasn't thinking about it, and this phone call from the council saying, "Oh, can you do a class for us tomorrow for this charity group, and we're running this wellbeing program, and we want you to be involved, and we want you to do this stuff." So I went along on Thursday, and the guy said, turn up at this community centre, which I knew. So I turned up, and I had it, I'd sort of planned my session. Right, I'm going to do this. I know the room, the big hall. And I said, "Oh, where am I going in the big hall?" And he said, "No, we're going to use this room, this smaller room." And it's a room that I've not been in before in the community centre. And it was quite weird, because the room was it was what I'd seen in my head. It really was. It was utter chaos, and there was loud music, and it was really good fun. And it sounds bonkers. It just does sound bonkers, and I think you're the only person. Because I'd been having a conversation with a coach a while back, and I told her this picture I had in my head, and apart from her, I haven't. It's only you that I've told, because it does sound quite nuts. But it sort of raises the question: is that something that was like a predestined thing that was in my head, and through being, I've been feeling really quite connected, quite grounded, and is it through just being in that place with kind of, that it's just transpired, and that's there was some sort of, I don't know, divine, something. I just found it fascinating. I can't. Yeah. It's I thought it was really relevant to what we were talking about. Where did that come from? Where did that picture in my head come from? And yeah,
I think it's very relevant. Well, there's one of my favourite books is a book called The Man Who Planted Trees, and it's actually a fictional story by a guy called Jean Giorno. It's only a little book, but it's basically in the story. It's about a guy who just spent his whole life planting seeds of trees, acorns and oaks and things like that. And by the end of his life and beyond, he had created a huge forest, huge swathes of forest, that were there for generations to come. And it's written like it's a true story, but then right at the end, after the end, there's a kind of postscript that goes, actually, this is a fiction, but a lot of people have taken it as a true story, and it's really resonated with a lot of people. But I think this is really relevant to what we've been discussing: the fate or free will or choice. You can plant your seeds, like you planted your seeds, right? And I've got a vegetable plot, and I planted lots of seeds this year, and some of them, nothing happened. A good proportion of them, nothing happened. But some of them ran rampant. I mean, I had courgettes that became the size of marrows, way more than and in previous years, the slugs just came and ate the plants before they got any vegetables on them at all. So you can never really tell. You can set out that intention, but you can never really tell.
Because the seeds that off the back of that picture in my head, the seeds that I deliberately planted, then I'll write off to these charities. Nothing came of those, and that was fine. So it came about in a way that that I hadn't. It was interesting, but it had come from kind of following my wisdom in other ways, I guess, and. Yeah.
But there was something else you were talking about just before we came on, right? There was a lovely, I think it was an 80s TV series in the UK called Boys from the Black Stuff. I think it was Alan Bleasdale wrote it or somebody, and there was this guy in it. There was this character in it called Yozza Hughes, and he was a very frustrated and angry man. He wandered around everywhere. He was desperate for money, and because he had a family and he had to make ends meet and so on. And he was desperate, and he would wander around, and anybody was doing anything, he'd be there going, I could do that job. Give me that job.
Here's a job. I know, yeah. That's the only thing I know of that series, actually. I remember that. Gives a job.
I mean, it was quite manic because in the end, when they didn't give him the job, usually he'd give them a headbutt. He'd get aggressive, he'd get really aggressive, because he was so frustrated that he couldn't make his way in the world. And there's something quite interesting for us, because if you could have got into I'm just going to keep pestering the council until they give me the job. I know I can do that job. But when you do that, Beck has a great saying that I think, it's not her saying, but when she quotes to me, it's like, there's nothing like the smell of, everybody hates the smell of desperation, or if you run after something, it runs away from you as fast as you run after it.
Yeah, it's like the butterfly, isn't it? You chase a butterfly and it just...
it sits still and it might actually land on you.
Yeah, exactly.
But
go on.
You were talking about the law of attraction, right? So you were saying that if I try and attract stuff, it doesn't work for me. But if you show up in the right place, and if you just show up, just put out your intention, then maybe, just maybe, you're attracting the right stuff as a matter of course.
Yeah, that's what occurred to me this week. There's a lot of the law of attraction. It tends to appeal to people who really want to attract stuff into their life, and they're kind of in a place where, like, I need this stuff to be okay. and I think that's very much at odds with being connected to anything apart from you know, you're stuck in that place of desperation and really feeling like, you know, feeling needy and desperate. But you know, the people who talk about how the law of attraction works, they're the people who are kind of not attached to the outcome, and you know, they say, you know, you've got to be in the flow and what have you. And it just occurred to me that this week that, you know, that's how it works. That's how it works, I guess. That you're just in a more connected place where you're not attached to the outcome. You plant seeds from your wisdom with love, and it's okay how it comes about. You don't quite know the end result, but I really think it's very much, for me, I notice that when I'm in a place, and I'm noticing it more and more the more I deepen my understanding, that I don't get caught up so much in my own thinking and attaching meaning to stuff that happens. And when I do, it doesn't last so long, because I kind of eventually see what I'm doing, and then it comes back to being more loving and more connected and more present, I suppose. And for me, that explains to me what I don't know. I just think that's when the stuff unfolds, and whether that is predestined or And the more I think about it, the more I think that the free will is at the beginning, where you choose the thoughts that you entertain, and I think that's where the free will starts, and that's where it opens up into something more connected and more predestined, maybe. I don't know. That's how it feels. That's how it feels for me now. That, you know, following these conversations we've had, and following that picture in my head becoming real life. It was, you know, it wasn't a big deal what this job that I was doing. It wasn't a massive deal, but it was just really nice the way that it was a thought. It was formless, and it became thought of real life, really. You know, these people, and they were, and I loved it, and I loved it. It was good. It was good, and I'm going back, and I'm doing more. So it was nice, really, really nice.
But that seems perfect to me. I came away from Monday, and it sent me into a bit of a spin, because I was looking for to me it had to be, for some reason I thought it had to be either one or the other. Now, either it's all fate, and we can, you know, we could go and lock ourselves away in a cupboard, and it wouldn't stop what's going to happen to us. And I had one piece of feedback which said, like, I can't believe it's that. Can't believe it's that. Or, you know, we have this kind of innate guidance system.
Yes, I think.
And that's kind of built into us, you know. Given a choice between A and B, our innate guidance system goes, oh, A. Now, or B, whichever is the most natural thing for us.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that gives rise to your thoughts about, you know, let's go try that. Now, seemingly, sometimes Now, where I was getting hung up was when you said free will and choice and all the rest of it. I was looking for, well, if it's fate, then you don't have any free will. It's just an illusion. If you have a guidance system, then you still, to some level, you can set your direction and point in the direction, but you still can't can kind of predict what's going to happen. So I
Yeah.
was, and I kind of started even overthinking it. I was like, I almost got to the stage where it was like, well, it's all thought. What the hell? Let's just go on and live, just carry on living my life. Why the hell am I doing this hangout? What's the point? And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but in reality, and then your thing came in, right? Your example of something perfect, and it's classic because you started off with your guidance system and you put some stuff out there, and then kind of the stars lined up or whatever happens out there, which to me is the
Yeah.
fate end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
and it drops back in your lap. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah. And when we first started talking about this, I didn't like the idea that there's no free will. I was like, no, it's all about choice. You can't just sit there and wait for life to happen to you. And I still don't think that, but I do think, I think that, yeah, I think there's there. I like what you say, that there's a guidance system, and I guess for me that guidance comes from the feelings, and for me from the good feelings, and choosing that. Yeah, I guess choosing the good feelings, and that's not being a thrill seeker, but it's kind of choosing to, I don't know, choosing to entertain what feels good, rather than and see through what doesn't feel good.
Oh, there's a really important point. So if I go back to do I choose A or B, I think a lot of people end up choosing B, the thing that isn't natural for them, because somebody's told them it's right. They're
Yes,
overwhelmingly, the world says that's the way you should go with
I've
these.
spent most of my life doing that, and I can pinpoint so many decisions I've made in my life where my there in hindsight, that guidance system was telling me, do this, but I was like, no, the sensible thing to do is this. And I can pinpoint so many decisions, and the question is whether I still would have ended up here in a roundabout way, or whether those would have led me on a completely different path. I don't know. I don't know if the final place that you end up is predetermined. I don't know.
My theory is that you would still be, you would, because your guidance system, whether you're going the wrong one way or t'other, it still always points you back to the right, into the right.
Yeah.
It's always pointing. Wherever you go, it's always pointing you in the right direction. Whether you choose to go even further in another direction, you can
Yeah.
always come back. You can always come back.
That's it. I think that's really important as well. And I've learned. I've I used to agonise over decisions, absolutely agonise, and I'd be asking everyone their opinion and really kind of dramatise it as if there was like one right answer. And it's most of the time with most decisions, it's no big deal. You you go with what you do your best, basically. You choose from your best place, and you can change course if it's not working out. You know, it just I used to agonize over it, but it feels so much easier now. And I rarely ask other people's opinion because that just brings in a whole load of noise.
Yeah.
I know, and I think most people know deep down the answer when they've got a problem. And
Yeah, but a lot. I mean, I was like you. I spent many years doing it the right way. You know, you call
yeah,
it the sensible way. And lived with a whole bunch of feelings that were obviously, now with my understanding of the principles, my feelings were always going, "You're going the wrong." You know, not that you're going the wrong way. Beck would always say to me, "There's no such thing as the wrong way," and she's right. But
I agree with that.
but your feelings are going. There's an easier way than this. There's an easier way than this. It's over there, and I'd just be marching on, going, no. Life. This is what life feels like. I'm just going to get on and go the way everybody tells me I should go. And terribly outward seeking, as you said, for advice and what's the right way of going with this, etc., etc. And so a real benefit of living life in this way, when you listen to your guidance system, is it all feels so much easier.
Yeah.
Does it get you there faster? I'm not sure. Don't think that matters. Is there? Do you have to get there fast? I don't know. Don't think so. But I had one piece of feedback from one of the people that I was talking to that said, when it feels like you just a moment ago when you were talking about it all happening for you and all, just the expression and the feeling that I could feel in you is like, my God, that's the way I want to live. When I feel like life's really rolling for me and it's everything's slotting together, that's a lovely way to live.
Yeah.
When I feel I've got to go and mix some mud and straw and build the bricks that build the wall that build the house that feels a bit like a life sentence to me. 20 years hard labour, So I think that's something. One of the guys asked a question of us: how does the principles help you? And this is definitely a way the principles help you. And he was also talking about, your thinking and thought storms kind of cloud you from your guidance system. Which brings me neatly onto something that I was discussing with another person yesterday. And she asked me about Michael Neal's story about playing with the house money at a casino. Now I think this is quite, so let's add what we've just put there, that when you're living from a feeling, the classic Elsie Spittle stuff, when you're living from a feeling and letting that feeling about life guide you in the most natural direction for you, I think this happens as well. So there's the potential for this to happen, and I think this is the answer to this question. If you were to go to a casino, right, and the casino were to give you, let's big it up, a chip with, one of those big square chips with £1,000 on it. Let's call that $1,600 to everybody in the States. A big, nice value chip, right? And said, "Hey, just go play." How would you feel about playing?
Yeah, just blow it. It's not. Yeah, if it's not my money, it's it's just a little bit of fun, isn't it? It's just a bit of excitement. It's not. There's no attachment. You don't feel cautious. I think that's.
You'd have fun with it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would have fun, definitely. Yeah, it sounds quite fun.
You might even be reckless with it. You might,
Yeah.
Not sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure what reckless means, but it sounds like fun. It sounds like really getting out there with it, But if on the other hand, you walk into the casino and they say, right, yeah, you can play this game, Becky Adams, but you have to put $1,600, £1,000 of your own money. Write me a check and you can play. How would you feel about that?
Oh, it feels really, really uncomfortable. And no, feel totally, there's emotion attached to that. It makes me feel anxious. The idea of, yeah, definitely.
So isn't that incredibly interesting? Because when we were just talking about the last 5 minutes, we're talking about when you show up and come at stuff from a fun place, from anything goes. I'm just going to do what I fancy doing. Oh, hey, she's got some lights. Then,
Thanks, Mum.
then when you just go for it, then great stuff shows up. When you knock on the door and try and make something happen, you know, desperation sets in. So when we go, is it your money or is it the house's money? All of a sudden, your feeling about that whole situation has changed.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether you're more likely to win at gambling if you're betting the house's money or if you're betting your money. I'm sure the mathematician would say you're no more likely to win. But would you have more fun?
Oh yeah, you'd have so much more fun if it's not your money. Definitely. I would.
So, to me, I had a real laugh. In fact, this lady, I was talking to her last night, it really helped me see something because it's like I took one step further because it's like, hold on a minute, the the fact that these chips that I'm playing with, that I think they're my chips, and just that thought of it's my money has changed my whole perception of the whole situation to the point where I get anxious and fearful and want to
Yeah.
ask advice and so on and so forth. And yet, if you even have a glimpse of mind of the bigger power, etc., which I've done. I was talking on Monday about how living from wisdom would never have happened, how the book would never have happened, and they were all great things that have happened. You were talking about how stars of well-being might have influenced some people, and then today you've been talking about how this thing came in for you. Now, to me, that's like evidence that there's something out there that's kind of tilting the roulette wheel in my favor.
Yeah.
But also, it's saying it's the chips. It's giving me the playing chips. It's saying, here, have $1,000 to go play with. Here's a great opportunity. I'm handing it to you. Go play.
Takes the pressure off.
It is quite a relief, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it really takes the pressure off. Um, Definitely. It's because thinking about it, it's not the first time that picture in my head has come to reality. It's there's a few other very distinct. The house I live in now, I had a bit. I didn't realise it till sort of a month after I'd moved in. I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. I had a picture in my head of living in a house like that with that floor. It's got a very distinct tiled floor in the hall, and yeah, there's been a few there's been a few things that, and it's always, I think it's kind of, if that is the law of attraction, and I think, the key is just not minding where it goes, not minding the outcome, just being in that feeling where just where you're living from wisdom. That's it. You're doing living from love as well. I think that's it. I had an insight recently that I needed to live with. I don't know, that maybe I wasn't putting enough love out there in the world, and maybe I wasn't serving as well as I could be. And since I've seen that, it's not even since I've kind of followed that not that need. It's not a need. It's just a gentle kind of desire to put more out there, and I think that's definitely been my guiding. The more I live from love, and the more love I put out there, the more connected to that guidance system I am. Maybe, I don't know.
I love that because I'm love it's quite a subtle one, isn't it? It's quite a subtle one. There's a I've been reading a lovely book by a guy called Father Greg Boyle, called Tattoos on the Heart, and he quotes a guy called John Ruskin, something about it's easier to get somebody to take off their coat by a gentle warm sunshine than it is to try and blow the coat off them with a gust of wind, kind of thing. It's the gist of the quote. But there's something really subtle about that loving thing and living from a place of love. And also, I think that's really quite interesting about that's you planting seeds again, right? It's just part of planting seeds. You just need, you need to put the seeds in some earth. You need to water it a little bit. It just needs a little bit of loving, basically.
Yeah, good analogy.
But I'm not great at. I mean, maybe it's a man thing. I don't know. But I'm not great at talking about the love thing. I'm great at talking about the why. I can easily see play the game and the bit that we've just been talking about. You don't have to play the game to win anymore. When it doesn't matter, when you realise that the chips aren't yours anyway, then winning kind of isn't important anymore. But all of the stuff we've been talking about before that was about feeling good, showing up in a good place, great things happening to you and really feeling good and grateful about those. And now you're adding the L word into the equation. And which to me, I mean, God, does life get any better than that? Does it?
I think that's what it feels like, though. It feels to me like when you strip away, the overthinking and the insecurities, and stop kind of really entertaining them, and let go of the personal stuff, the personal drama that goes on, when that just falls away, and the identities as well. I've had some insights over the past year, just stuff I thought about myself, you know, dropping off, and stuff that I'd kind of agonised about over the years, you know, like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm not as good as everyone else, you know. That's just kind of, I've seen, is it fallen away, or I've just seen through it, because I'm sure it'll come up again at some point, but I've kind of seen through it, and it's not. And when all that nonsense is, you know, when it's clear that it's an illusion, then for me, what's left is just a really kind of happy, loving feeling. And you know, it's not constant. It kind of comes, you know, I've moments where I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that 24/7. But the majority of the time, at the moment, that's kind of how I feel. And circumstances can come and go, but yeah, it's interesting how you. Yeah, it feels like when that stuff falls away, that is what's left. And you know, it's love, and to me happiness as well. It does feel.
The thing that so a lot of people think about the three principles. They talk a lot about the thought. You know, it's mind, consciousness, and thought. And they talk a lot about thought. You know, even the question that we were asked about how do thought storms, you know, factor in here, and the reality is, the one thing that the three principles allows you to do is to see that your thinking is all that's getting in the way between you and the lovely feeling that you've been describing so beautifully, and we've been talking about tonight. So it really gives you that, and then you get to, as you get a better understanding of all this, you get to see that more quickly. When you get wrapped up in your thinking, you get to see that cloud's getting in the way of the sunshine that's always there for you. And so that allows that, in some way, it doesn't make the clouds part again, but I think somehow you're right, you don't get into those cloudy skies quite so often, quite so quickly.
Yeah, I think one thing I've learned to do is not fight the clouds, which is when I first found the principles, I had a honeymoon period of everything feeling lovely and floaty and really nice, and then I had some circumstances that sort of were challenging, and some thinking started coming up, and it did turn into a thought storm. It really did, and I was fighting it as well. I was really fighting it, because I was like, you know, this is thought. You know, this is your thinking. You should know better. And I was being really, really hard on myself. And I knew it was my thinking, but I was fighting it, and I was like, how do I get back to where the place that I was? How do I get back to that good feeling? You know, is it gone forever? And I was really, really fighting that. And someone pointed out to me that I didn't need to do anything, which and I was thinking that I needed to do something. And the fighting was kind of adding more thinking to the mix, and that just added to the storm. And it you know, it's only ever temporary, and sometimes it doesn't feel like that, but it is only ever temporary. And when you kind of just I guess allow it. You know, life doesn't. I used to think that you'd get to a point where, and when I found the principles, I thought, oh yeah, life's going to be like that now. That's just where I'm at. I'm on that straight, and I forgot that it's not.
Yeah. No,
It,
I did too. I,
yeah,
I had a thing where because I haven't done much. If you said to me before 2009, what do the words personal development mean to you? I mean, I'm not even talking about spirituality or enlightenment or anything like that. I would have said, well, it would be how to interview people more effectively, or manage people, or to learn a particular vocational skill, or a skill that's going to help with your vocation. And I wouldn't have even thought about all of this kind of stuff. So I kind of came at it as from I paid for my course. It's like, right, fix me, and then I'm just going to come out and why haven't you fixed me yet? You know, I've been doing
yeah.
this for a while now. Why am I not fixed? And of course, life is a laugh now, because life isn't like that. You know?
I know it's funny actually. Even when I read Clarity by Jamie Smart.
Yeah.
Um, I remember him writing about getting angry. He said when I'm like a little bit angry, I can kind of still laugh off those thoughts. But when I'm really angry, I'm like, oh my god, he still gets angry. I was like, well, I'm not sure about that, and it's just like this unrealistic idea that you get to a place and that's it. You don't need to go anywhere else. But I can see through that yeah, I can just see through that idea as quite silly now, because it's just a journey, and it's there's always more. There's always more, and there's yeah, there's always more.
Always more perfect. So I think where we've got to, Ray, is there was a beautiful term that accidentally fell out of yesterday's conversation. Is it innate? Is it your innate guidance system that's leading the way, or is it fate? Is it innate or is it fate? And the answer is it's kind of a beautiful blend of either of both in various measures. Now, fate is mind, divine mind, and stuff happening for you, and and innate guidance is your own unique guidance system that's pointing you in the most natural direction from you. It's always some combination of the two. There's no definitive, it's always this kind of answer. Would
Yeah,
that seem fair to you?
that works for me, and I think that's definitely where I've come to. But yeah, there's no right or wrong, is there? We're never gonna know either way anyway. But I like to think that there is that sort of interweaving of both. I like that.
Terrific. Well, actually, there was a last. So there was a little thing that I wanted to kind of end on, a little anecdote. Where have you ever? There's also a BBC, no, it's a Channel 4 in the UK television program called Grand Designs. You ever watched that?
Oh, I love grand designs.
Grand Design. So it's about people who want to build for all these people elsewhere in the world who don't have this program. You may well get to see it on cable or whatever it is. But it's about people who want to build their dream home. And a few things always happen. There are horrible problems that they never ever thought were going to had considered. You know, they run, I don't know, 20 or 30% over their budget, and that's not just a small amount of money over, which can easily be afforded. Most of them, the project takes way longer. They try to figure out how they can scrabble together the money to make it happen, and you just wonder how these people get through. And there's always, as always, the presenters there going, "Oh, well, I don't know what's going to happen to them now." Now it could just be that that's great journalism and it's not as bad as anybody makes out. But I suspect that these people will go through quite a journey on the way to. But guess what? They all end up showing him round their dream home. Finished, completed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And I think that proves the point that they set out in a certain direction, and okay, they might have gone a very circuitous route, and fate might have played a part, and certain opportunities came in, like they found the right piece of land, or this happened, or this didn't happen, etc. But they roll with it, go with it, and that beautiful blend kind of gets them.
They always have faith that it's gonna, it might get thin at points, but they see it through out of their faith. Yeah.
But and I suppose the difference is back to the chips and the casino again, is you could spend your whole life or that whole project worrying and anxious and we're never going to get there. Or you could just go, well, it's just part of the roller coaster ride that we set ourselves on. Let's just enjoy it. And the answer is the human experience is you do a bit of both.
Yeah, always.
I know very few people that just go, yeah, whatever, and just enjoy life every moment, every day. They get caught up in themselves at some points.
Yeah, it catches us.
But I also, and I know more people actually, that get very bound up in, oh my God, this has got to happen, and live a lot of their time like that. So maybe the principles is meant allowing you to spend more time in the better place.
I think so.
Fantastic. So, thank you so much for having this conversation with me, Becky. It's been.
Oh, thank you for asking me.
No, it's been really, really great. I didn't really realise what I was getting myself into this week with the subject. It seemed to be quite a big one for me. So, you've been really, really helpful, and I mean, it was almost like the perfect thing for us. So, this thing that you this.
I know, we couldn't have. Yeah, it's. You couldn't make it up, really, could you?
No, if somebody had ordered up the perfect piece of stuff to talk about in this particular hangout that we're doing, that was it. So well done, that girl. Well done, fate, for handing it to you.
Yeah, feeling very grateful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if people wanted to get in touch with you and talk to you about your understanding of the print, in fact, what else would they talk to you about? What kind of things do you talk to people about?
I work with people predominantly as I teach. I teach exercise, and I train. I'm a personal trainer, but I talk to people about stress, about eating, a lot of weight loss issues, and that's something that the 3 principles really has helped a lot of people with, and I help people with that. So yeah, it's general stuff really, but it always seems to always come back to the thinking. But yeah, the physical body, health, healthy lifestyles. So that's kind of my forte really, and my blog is actually down at the moment. My website is having a bit of work done to it. So I'm on Facebook. I'm Becky Adams on Facebook, and you can connect with me there.
Cool. Is that Sean with an IA?
Sian, Sian.
Perfect.
Welsh.
Welsh. Fantastic. Well, that's excellent. And just from my point of view, we've got a couple of people lined up. There's a lady called Molly Gordon, who some of you might know already, who has her background or the stuff she's been doing in the past has been about creating the business you love and creating wealth. But I'm not sure whether that was before she found the 3 principles or started building that into. And she's kind of reinventing herself, so we're going to be finding out more about her. And I guess my thinking about her was that I got I'm one of these people thinking, you know that everybody has this. There's another bit of thinking here that like A-list people, and she's a celebrity. And one day there was a Facebook post and she commented on it, and I'm like, oh my God, Molly Gordon is commenting on something about me, and I'm not worthy. So I got in touch with her on email, and then we started having a conversation. So that was an interesting one for me. That maybe celebrity is interesting. An interesting thought. And then in November, so that's in 15th of October, and then in November the 6th, I'm going to do a fireworks special with Michael Neal, no less. So I'm not really sure what we're going to be talking about yet, which is fine by me, and I'm sure it's fine by him. But it's always good to have a conversation with Michael Neal, and I've had some great feedback from you guys about loving us doing these hangouts, and I'm really enjoying doing them. Even if we don't get many viewers, it seems that along the way we're impacting and some people, so that's all that matters to me. And I've really enjoyed the time you've spent with you, Becky. So thank you.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right. So everybody go away, have a great weekend, and just don't care whether it's fate or innate. It's all you. It's all happening. Just go with it. Catch you later.
Bye.